That is world class. That really is world class. That is a wartime cake made right there. Look at that. That is soft. That is moist. That is wonderful. Come on. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Today we're doing a wartime cake, a depression type cake. Now it's a dense cake, and when we make the cake, it should make okay. Obviously it was made for many years back there, and some of you are going to remember this. Some remember mums and dads making this 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, you know, with a lack of eggs and things. It's an easy cake to come to. In fact, if you did have this type of cake, tell me about it. Share your memories. Right, now it's a straightforward cake. We've got no raising agent. We're going to use baking soda and vinegar to raise the flour. It's an old-fashioned, brilliant idea cake, and it just showed the resourcefulness of the people back then. However, this type of cake is best served the next day. Always wrapped up, put in a cake tin, and then sliced the next day. But obviously for video, we're going to slice it today. Right, let's crack on. In here, I have some all-purpose plain flour. Now we're going to put the dry mix together. We're going to go in there with some salt. Salt to taste, you know. In there with your sugar. Now here's the thing with the sugar. It's with this type of recipe, it's whatever sugar you can get hold of, you know, brown sugar, white sugar, up to you. You know, that's the beauty about these old recipes. They used interchangeable ingredients, whatever they had on hand. That's what makes them so special. Baking soda, not baking powder. Now, I showed you the little trick with the batter the other day, using vinegar and baking soda. It's an old school trick, you know. So in there, with a teaspoon of baking soda. Now, people forget that you can make all these recipes this way. You don't need baking powder. Or if you're making batters, you don't need sparkling water and beer, and you know, that's all that's come along afterwards. But the old school basics, if you know how to put it together with the old school basic, you will always survive in cooking. Okay, so we've got our salt, our sugar, our flour in there. Now we want to add some spice. Now, spice of choice. Now I'm going for English mixed spice. Okay, and there's a link in the recipe if you want to go make it. It's virtually the same as pumpkin spice. Now if you don't have pumpkin spice, don't have mixed spice, you can use cinnamon. That was all readily available back then. So in there with just a little teaspoon actually. That should be suffice. Now all the people that say I don't like cinnamon, I've told you before on the channel, pumpkin spice and definitely English mixed spice, the majority of the spice is cinnamon. There you go. So all we're going to do is just bring that in on there, look, nice and steady. That's our dry mix. Right, our wet mix then. We'll come to the tin in a minute. Our wet mix, in here, I've got a cup of water. In here, I have veg oil. Because obviously don't forget butter and things like that. A little bit harder to get hold of, you know. We are going in there with a little bit of vanilla, like you would when you're making a cake. And we're going to hit that up with about a tablespoon of vinegar. Now here's the thing again, vinegar, I'm using malt vinegar, but you can use white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, it's any vinegar. And we want to go in there with about a tablespoon. It doesn't taste of vinegar. The vinegar helps create carbon dioxide to give the lift in the cake, and the vinegar cooks off. Give that a little one of those. So it's very straightforward. You take your dry mix and you chuck all that wet mix in there, of course you do. Now this is going to be a very loose batter, very loose. Make sure you've got your oven on at 170. We're going to give that a little stir through there, look. Now again with this, you have to stir it through. And I've got a whisk in my hand actually, but not to worry. I'll definitely change that out because I wouldn't use a whisk for this. You have to stir in all that flour in there, okay? Get it all in. Now, with this type of cake, you don't overstir, you don't overmix in. It's just enough to get in there. And you can just through with whatever you're stirring with, your stirry thing, spatula, spoon, wooden spoon, anything you're using, and you can see if there's any flour lumps in there. Now the tin I'm using today is a 7-inch tin, and I'm using a springform. Now it is not the best tin to use. A normal square or round tin, line it out. A springform tin can leak, but I've turned the base over and we're going to use it, and I'll show you that afterwards actually, how we turn it over. So there you are, there's a 7-inch tin. That's what we're using, that's going on there. This batter mix is going in there, and it is a loose mix like I say. Hopefully it won't run out all of it. And that straight in the oven. Okay, so we're in the oven about 25-30 minutes. Just have a watch. And it's the usual carry on, you know, just stick a skewer in when you've had the time, and if the skewer comes out clean, it's done. That's it. A straightforward, eggless, wartime style cake. Wait for it to come out. Okay, we just need to be sticking a skewer in there. Oh, what a beautiful cake in there. Oh, that is as clean as a whistle. That cake is done. Let's get that out of there. So out it comes, and look at that. That is an absolute beauty. Right, we're going to take it off the tray, but we're going to let it cool in the tin for 10 minutes. You know, these wartime recipes where people had to make do. I mean, come on, look at that. It's going to sink, I think. Of course it is, you know. And if it doesn't, it doesn't matter. You know, I can smell the mixed spice, and I can tell you right now, this would work superb with ginger, ground ginger. Wow. So we'll just leave it in the tin for 10 minutes, and then we'll pop it and put it on the rack to cool. Okay, what I'll do while this is cooling, let's just push that to one side. I'll demo exactly how you get a fantastic result with one of these tins. Now you can see there, look, you've got a lip on this tin. And if you line this tin like that, you can only line in the inside. However, for a cake like this, in fact any cake really, and I'll show you why, it just slides off the base plate. Just take some greaseproof paper, any size as long as it's bigger than the tin. Okay? Just cut it off like you would normally do. Let's get rid of those, we don't need those. Like you would normally do, okay? So now you've got your piece of parchment. Take your springform tin and turn the base over. Put your paper over your base. Now I'm not going to say it's easy, it's a bit of a juggle, because we want to get that lip back inside that tin, raised up like that with the paper on. Now it can be done, I do it all the time, it's fiddly. You might crack it first time out, that's absolutely marvellous. Me, I juggle and juggle, and as you can see these tins are warped. Right, on there, like that, and that, on there, like that. You push it down, and this is the jiggly juggly jiggle bit, okay? And it is, don't get me wrong. What you've got to do is try and lift it up. Try and lift up your base so it goes inside the lip. Now it is a jiggly juggler, I keep telling you, but trust me on this. So just bring in your tin a little bit, push it down, and then lock the tin. Now you've got a perfect flat inside sealed tin. Then you turn it over and you take the end of that and you fold it in like that. Now I'm not going to undo this one because the next cake I use, we've already done it. So I'm just going to put this to one side. When we take this cake out, which can come out now actually, this is why we do this. So this is why we do this, and this is why I would say that this is an important tip to learn. Flick your cake, take that off there, which it will come out, and it is absolutely red hot. You can see we just do everything here in one go. It's absolutely boiling this, by the way. Off there, okay? Now you wouldn't normally juggle like this. Take off your lining, which is revealing this absolutely wonderful, superb cake. Now, here's the thing with that line under there. This is red hot, by the way, so be careful. Under there, you pull your paper like that, and it slides off your tin. It doesn't get stuck in any way whatsoever. So you've still got it on your paper. So that is why we put that like that and that like that. It just slides off. You just slide it off the bottom tray. And what we can do is we can do this. Really shouldn't do this, but there you go. We want to show the cake, don't we? It's absolutely red hot on the bottom. What a beautiful cake. I mean, come on. There's a round of applause, a big thumbs up, everything right there. Look at that thing. Now, if it was wartime, there was no eggs, there was no milk, and somebody served a slice of cake up like that with a cup of tea. Come on. Mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Come on, Ethel, slice the cake. Right, this cake's still warm, but you know me, we're not waiting. We're getting in here, like that, and we're coming in there. And look at that. That is soft, that is moist, that is wonderful. Come on. Come on, off there. That is world class. That really is world class. That is a wartime cake made right there. Look at that. Come on, grab your pot of tea. Let's have a slice of cake. Oh, well worth it. I mean, this thing is just, look at that. I mean, come on. That is to die for. No eggs, no milk, no nothing, and you get a cake like that. You've got to be kidding me. And you know, there's no else for it than this. Oh yeah. Oh, that is a cracking cake. And you know, the flavor comes together. You know, what you should do is wrap this with parchment paper, stick it in a tin, have it tomorrow. You cannot believe how soft and fluffy that is. And no, it doesn't taste of vinegar. You know, like I said, you know, ginger in here, a lovely ginger cake. And you know, you can drizzle some golden syrup, ginger syrup over the top. Oh, it's endless. You know, those people back in the day, they knew what they were doing. Resourcefulness at best. That is a brilliant cake. If you like what we're doing, share with your friends. Tell them how easy it is to make a cake. You know, you make a cake, no eggs, no milk, there you go. Delicious. If you like what we're doing, big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. We'll catch you in the next video. Oh yeah. A mug of tea and cake. Oh yeah. Just the best.